Well, let's go ahead and get started. It's 6:35 and I need to jump off by about 7:45 at the latest. That doesn't mean you guys can't continue to ask questions, but that's my time frame tonight. But I do want to, first of all, say thank you to everybody who is who's shown up tonight. I see some new faces, which is always great. We have been doing these webinars now for about 13, 14 months. I'd have to go back and actually look. So every prior webinar that we've done is recorded. They are on our resources page of our website. They're fantastic tools. We love these. I know we have a lot of regulars who look forward to the last Wednesday of the month as well. And if you're like me, which I think some of you are, we're dog nerds and we like to have all the information that we can have. So, and I didn't say, I'm Michelle Goldberg. I'm the president of Gold Ribbon Rescue, and we have partnered with C-Spot Behave to do these training webinars. C-Spot Behave is one of our preferred training partners that we have used a lot for dogs in care, as well as I know several people that have adopted dogs have also been utilizing their services. And sometimes we get people that will call us about a dog they want to surrender that we can't take. And we refer them to Debbie and Diane, or if they might be in another area, that trainer. But they have worked with some people to help them keep a dog that maybe they thought that they couldn't work with and were going to have to surrender. So we value the relationship with C-Spot Behave. They know it all. And I'm going to turn it over to Diane and let Diane introduce herself and C-Spot Behave, and then get into the meat of the webinar.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I wish I could say I knew it all. I don't know if anybody else, but as I get older, it's like, oh, I know less. But anyways, thank you again. We're going to have some great fun tonight. So in terms of C-Spot Behave, my partner, Debbie Puckett, and I started C-Spot Behave here in Texas about, gosh, it's been almost 4 years ago. And our goal when creating C-Spot Behave was to focus on training that really is focused on homes and home environments and dogs in homes and building those relationships there. So I will flip this slide because I believe, yes, we have the introductions here. So Debbie is my partner who unfortunately is not going to be on the call tonight, but she is our nerd in the twosome. She's the one that has tons of certifications, loves to study and research dog and dog behavior, and is a tremendous source of information when it comes to understanding why dogs do what they do, and more importantly, taking that information and being able to use it in real world experiences. I've been doing training for, gosh, almost 15 years now, and what my role in C-Spot Behave is the training part of it. How do we take all that information, plus looking at your dogs, your homes, your lifestyle, and helping manage all that, integrate all that, and get the training up and running so that you guys make happy, healthy homes for everybody. So anyways, that's kind of a quick in the nutshell. Now, how tonight is going to work. We are going to actually be hands-on tonight for those of you that want to participate, because we're going to do some actual training tonight. So if you would like, we're going to get ourselves set up first. I'm going to do a demonstration, part of the C-Spot Behave family. It's hard to see because he's laying down. I'm going to tilt this down here. This is Quinn. And so
I have
is
no audio.
dog, and he is going to be helping us out this evening. He works a lot with other dogs, especially those that are reactive. I use him as what we call a neutral dog, which is a dog that is fairly calm. There's no such thing as a totally calm dog, but a fairly calm dog who likes being around other dogs. So he's going to be our stunt dog tonight. So doing a demo, then we're going to have time for questions, and then we're going to try to do this together. So hopefully this works. So bear with me. I'm going to probably be tilting my camera up here and down so that we can see everything. So let's move on. So for tonight, if you would like to participate, I'm going to give you a couple minutes here. What we're going to need is we're going to need some treats if you would like to do this with your dog. Marker, which is a means to let your dog know they've done the right things. So you may have heard of clicker training. How many have heard of clicker training or markers? Yeah. Yep. So again, why we utilize them is because it lets a dog know, again, they've done the right thing. Because most of the time in the process of training, dogs are actually kind of throwing things out and hope it hits. And if we never kind of let them know they got the thing right, then it takes longer for a dog to learn what you're trying to ask them to do. So for tonight, if you don't have a clicker, you can just use the word yes, whatever you want to use. Your dog, that will be helpful. Or a dog, if you want to use a dog. And then treat pouch or bowl or something to hold the treats. It's best when you're training, just for information, if you're hanging onto a bunch of treats in your hand, oftentimes that's too much for a distraction for your dog. And so when you're asking them to do something, their whole focus is on your hand. So things like teaching a dog sit, but if my hand is way up here, your dog goes, but the treats are way up here. So having a treat pouch, this is my beautiful, very inexpensive treat pouch that I use, or a bowl somewhere, treat somewhere where you can grab them to work with your dogs tonight. So far, so good? Thumbs up? Yes? Cool. All right. So what we're going to do, I want to do a demonstration first, and here's the reason why, is that a lot of times when we're doing training, we have the challenge of what we think our dog is being stubborn or not paying attention or, not being disobedient. And really what often is happening is that our dogs are not in an emotional place to hear what we're trying to ask them to do. In this situation, what I'm going to do with my stunt dog Quinn here, so bear with me, I'm going to tilt this down a little bit. Again, can everybody see Quinn okay? And yes, hopefully. All right, so I'm going to grab a couple treats here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of these treats on the ground. You're going to notice something as I do this. Guess, can you see this already? So then if I'm going to ask him a cue like sit, he can do it, but can anybody tell me where he's oriented?
Well, he wants the treats.
Yeah. So I'm asking him to do it, and here he goes around, right? He wants the treats and everything. So when you're asking a dog for a cue, and there's something of high value like treats, or in real world situations, how many have tried to ask their dogs to do a sit when another dog is passing them by on leash? Nobody? And how successful is that? Sometimes maybe yes, sometimes maybe no. Or how long will they hold that sit for when you ask them for it when a dog is passing them by? Or asking them for a sit when they see a squirrel. Anybody? And how successful are you? So again, the thought process when you're doing training is this. You want your dogs to start whenever you're teaching them a cue, whether it's a sit or a down or any sort of cue, you need to start in an environment that is calmer and in a place in their brain where they go, I am under threshold. And I think the next slide, hang on here. So I'm going to move threshold. What threshold is? Has anybody heard that term before? Dogs being under or over threshold? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So, nope. Nude. All right. So it's something we use in the training world. One person has it. Threshold. Dogs, like people, have an emotional level where if they're under a certain level, meaning that they're feeling calm, they're feeling confident, they are able to take information in, which we call under threshold, right? Doing sits in the house. Nothing is happening in this house right now. It's nice and calm. I asked Quinn for a sit. He's in a great emotional frame to go, sure, no problem. Plus, he understands what sit means. That's the second part of training. Does everybody understand that? So doing things like, again, going into the middle of a park, squirrels are racing all over the place. You go sit and your dog goes, forget it. And the reason is that they are over threshold. They are past the point emotionally where they go, I know what sit means. We've worked on that and I understand it. But at this point, with this much activity happening, I cannot do this. I can't think that way. No matter what treats, what cues, how many times you ask me, it's not going to happen. Does that make sense so far, everybody understanding that? So this is what's key about training, is that when you are working on cue work particularly, or any sort of emotional change, you need to do it gradually so that the dogs can manage their emotions as they're learning to do a specific behavior. What comes to mind is, how many of you take your dogs to restaurants or food truck areas? Yeah. So it's a common place for dogs to be really challenged because there's so much activity. Food is around. And if you really want to get a bird's eye view of what their world looks like, try crawling underneath the table to see what they are experiencing when you're at a restaurant. It's a different dynamic that dogs, if they feel anything like, anxiety, tension, excitement, and asking them to lay down and be calm, that's going to be really hard because chances are they're going to be over threshold. Too much happening, not enough. They're not in an emotional place to learn. And that's the goal when you're training, is you want your dogs to be in an emotional place where they can learn, so that you can practice that. They can start to go, oh, this is okay. And then you gradually add in the things that might be more stressful for them. So far, so good? Yep. Any questions so far on that? Experiences? I want people to really chime in on this one, because that's what I'm here for. Nope. All good? All right. We have expert trainers here. Yes? All right. So moving on then. So I'm going to do touch with Quinn. All right. So how many have done touch or targeting cue with their dog? Yeah. And how, I'm just curious, people that have done it, how successful are you with it? Meaning, can you do touch in the house pretty consistently? Are there places where if you try it, you have more difficulty doing it?
I have 2 of my 4 dogs trained to touch, like almost foolproof wherever.
Cool.
My other 2 are hit or miss.
Yep. Yeah. Well, again, keeping in mind too, things that will often change a dog's mind about doing touch as well. Golden Retrievers typically are pretty good at doing touch. They like that interaction, but I have another dog who's Pyrenees and Husky, 2 breeds that go, I don't like cue work to begin with. Please don't ask me to do touch. So anyways, but touch. First things first, for those that may not know how to do it, I'm going to run through it really quickly. Okay. So if you've never taught your dog touch, first things first, treat in between your middle fingers. This is a great way to start the conversation with your dog, because I have something of value in my hand worth sticking their nose to, and I'm really utilizing their nose, their sense of smell, to get them to approach my hand to smell the treat and get the treat. Okay, so far so good. All right, so next is I'm going to, this is again when you're teaching a cue. Dogs actually learn, and people may already understand this or know this, dogs understand body language better than verbal communication. So if you are teaching a cue, if you can utilize body language, your dogs will tend to learn things faster. But if you're going to use verbal cue, when you're teaching the cue, you do not want to use the cues together to start with. Meaning that if I go, I'm going to show my palm. If I go touch and drop my hand at the same time, my hand cancels out the verbal cue. So my dog will not learn the verbal cue. They'll just learn the hand signal. Yeah. Same thing if you've ever noticed, if you teach your dog sit and you do sit, then if you try to do sit without the hand signal, a lot of times dogs won't sit because they've learned this actually. They haven't learned the verbal cue. Does that make everybody make sense? Any questions on that? Nope. Good. Cool. All right. So touch. I'm going to try to set myself up here. Hand with a treat. I'm going to go touch, hand down. Yes. So he does that. He's kind of funny that way. But the process is I say the cue first. I offer my hand. The minute he touches his nose to my hand or even gets close, so a lick or anything like that, the minute he does that, I mark with the clicker or the yes. Because again, I'm telling him, this is what I want you to do. Okay? So I'll do that one more time again. And this is with all cues. So I'll show a sit real quickly too. If I'm going to ask for a sit, yes, and treat. The yes, the clicker, whatever you're using as a mark is much more important than the treat. They may not agree, but the thing is the yes, again, tells them they've done the right thing. The treat is the value. Why am I doing this? Because again, we're asking dogs to do really weird things when we're training. So one more time with the touch, and I promise we'll move on. So touch. Yes. And then he gets the treat. Everybody good with that? So in this slide, we talk about here, if I was to ask Quinn to do a touch, but I had a treat right by him. So I'm going to put a treat on the ground. He's going, come on. And I go, touch. Guess where he goes? Right to the other treat. So again, having a distraction, he's going to go for the thing that is higher value, which is the treat that is right there versus the one that I'm asking him to actually do an action with. Squirrel is right there. I try to do touch with him. Chances are he's not going to come for my hand. He's going to go for the squirrel. So keeping in mind, being in an emotional place where a dog can learn. Cool? Yes. All righty. So, and so we just went through all that. The fact that, you know, with a distraction, he's not forgetting that I have a hand or can do touch. We have worked on that. He understands what that cue means. It's how he felt about coming to hit my hand versus going to get the treat or the squirrel or the distraction. It's an emotional place, right? My emotions went, this is much more exciting. or I'm more afraid. Again, a lot of times when dogs are fearful and you ask them to do something, they go, no, we're going to die. Why am I going to do this? So being in a calm place, again, where my brain goes, okay, I'm ready to take information from you, and I'm willing to do the weird thing that I'm asking you to do. Because most cues for dogs are really weird. It makes no sense. Why would anybody ask me to do this? No other dog's going to ask me to sit. I don't get it. I don't see the value of it. So that's dog brain. All right. Next. So, cue training. Again, cues are really about teaching a dog what to do. You know, a sit, a down, a stay, a focus. And when we use cues, the thing that I want to kind of add to this is that it's really easy to teach your dog a bunch of cues, which is great. Again, it's a great bonding experience. They can be useful, but my invite to you is to really think about when you are asking your dog to do a cue, especially if you're out and about in the world. What is it ultimately you're looking for from your dog? Because things like asking a dog to sit. A sit is a short-term calm position for a dog. So if you're asking your dog to sit, but planning on having them be there for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they're eventually either going to get bored and want to stand up, or they're going to automatically lay down. So down is a better position for a dog that wants to hang out for a longer period of time. So if you're looking for a settle or let's hang out, down is a better option. Okay. Things too, having your dog sit and hold a position when they are scared. Again, we're trying to say, we want you to hold here, even though your brain's saying we're in a 5-alarm fire. So versus doing that with your dog, you know, it might be better to calmly move away from that situation versus asking for a sit. So again, keeping in mind, why are you using the cues? What's the ultimate goal in asking your dog to do things? Just, it makes it easier and it builds more trust with your dog. If I'm forcing my dog to do something that they're feeling really uncomfortable with, they're going to start looking at me like, do I really trust you? Because you keep putting me in these emotional situations that I can't handle. Good stuff so far, yay? Emotional learning. So emotional learning is really, again, how does the dog feel about the things that we're asking them to do? You know, is it worth doing the thing I'm asking to do, or is the value of whatever the other thing is, chasing a squirrel, moving away from a garbage truck, more valuable? Is it going to keep me alive? Is it going to keep me feeling good? Is it going to taste good? You know, all these things that, you know, we have to be aware of is not them being disobedient. It is them going, this is more valuable for whatever reason. And so can we help them emotionally see the value of doing something else and start to help them feel better about doing whatever it is that we're asking them to do? They will learn things much faster. It's kind of like us, right? If you feel good about something, chances are you're going to learn it a lot faster. I know for me, my background is in writing, English and all that. Learned that a lot faster than math. Math was my arch nemesis. I did learn it, but man, it was hard because I did not like it. So does that have, well, I'd love to get some feedback because I feel like I'm doing all the talking, which I recognize I'm doing the presentation, but my way of working with people is I love to have chats. So Rox, is it Rox? Am I pronouncing that correctly? you have a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So I'm so used to telling my dog leave it and not touch it.
Yeah.
Does the cue touch? How do you apply that cue? Why would you want your dog to touch something?
So how touch can be used? So one way touch can be used is to actually move your dog away from something. So, but again, keep in mind, whatever they're going after. So why don't you give me an example of what your dog goes after where you're wanting to ask him or her to leave it?
Oh my gosh. On our walks, it's
Okay.
any poop, deer poop,
Yep.
raccoon poop, poop.
Well, yeah. And now I'm going to get gross here for a second. Bear with me. Does your dog like to smell it or eat it or both?
Both.
Both. Okay, got it. Yes. And that's a common thing, just so that everybody is aware of this. Why this happens a lot of times is that the food that we feed our dogs is really high quality. And so when it comes out high quality too. So finding that happening a lot more, but that doesn't help you in your situation. So touch could be then practicing with him or her on leash. He or she approaches the poop. So hopefully you spot it. I understand a lot of times on walks it's hard to see, but all of a sudden your dog starts going, oh, there's poop. Stopping so that they can see it, but they can't reach it. And then asking for a touch so they move away from it. But the key part of doing that is whatever you're offering to do that touch, the treat that's between your fingers has to be of equal or higher value than the poop. So it may take some, figuring out as to what that might be. The training treats I use, and again, every dog is different, but the ones I like and have kind of the most success with are pepperoni. They're cheap, they're stinky, and dogs tend to like it. Or could be people food, cheese. Again, as long as your dogs don't have tummy issues with cheese. It could be chicken, it could be beef liver. There's a ton, but that's what you want to figure out. If you do that, where you have your dog stop and you're going touch and they're not turning, chances are the value isn't high enough. So you may have to try some other things in order to get them to understand that you're offering them something of equal or higher value than the poop. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about practice too. That's the key part of it too, is when you're teaching a cue, whether it's touch or sit or whatever the cue is, you want to make sure you're teaching it daily. Now, when I say that, don't cross your eyes, go, oh my God, I'm gonna have to give up my job. If you can do 5 minutes of training a day, whatever you choose, your dogs are going to learn things faster. And practicing those things everywhere, but in increments that they can handle. So as I tell clients, usually best place to start is in the home when it's quiet and get it really consistent. And when I mean consistent, kind of a good rule of thumb is 5 responses without any sort of hesitancy. So if you were doing touches, you would want 5 touches where there is no hesitancy, where the dogs just come up, boom, yes, boom, yes, boom, yes. Then you can try moving to a different part of the house. Same thing, 5 times consistent. Then maybe out in the backyard where you're getting a little bit of excitement out there, unless of course you've got a fence fighting dog on the other side. Probably not a good time to train. But again, a little bit of activity, but not so much. Great. Let's do it in the backyard. Then possibly in the front yard then adding things in. But again, keeping in mind, if you're not getting consistent responses, it's either they're above threshold, as we talked about earlier, their emotional place is not there, allowing them to hear what you're asking them to do, or the value of the treat, the why am I doing this, is not valuable enough. And those are the ways that you can really work with your dog and say, okay, how can I get you to that place? I may need to take a step back. So it might mean, okay, I can take my dog to the park, but I want to make sure it's a park with maybe not so many dogs running around, or so many people running, or there's bikes there, or something that there, again, my dog is saying, I'm not able to listen. Or creating distance. Distance is a really great one to help your dogs with training. If you're too close to something that's too exciting, chances are, again, your dog's going to have a hard time. So it might be, okay, we're going to work with dogs being around us, but we're going to make sure those dogs are 50 yards away. Okay, can we get the responses? Maybe now we can do 40 yards away and move our way up. But again, if you get success every time you're building that muscle in your dog that says, okay, I'm emotionally prepared to be in a place that's a little bit more challenging, but I'm still under threshold, and the value of the treat is still high enough that I'm willing to do that. Is that helpful? I hope.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions, ideas, concerns? Michelle,
I don't have a question, but just more of a comment. I don't know if anyone else has this challenge. My husband has this challenge, and he's not listening, but he'll watch the recording. When you talk about cue training, the importance of not continuously repeating the cue.
Yeah.
And until, not saying sit 18 times until the dog sits, kind of thing. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
You bet. It's a tough one. I understand, because as the human experience, we do that because we instinctually know if we repeat things, we tend to get people's attention, right? That's how, especially with, hate to say this, I'm going to stereotype with kids. I feel like that's where a lot of people learn it, is like, with kids, it's like, Brian, to get, and then they'll finally be like, what? The problem with dogs is this, there's many different things, but the first one is, again, dogs don't understand language. It doesn't make any sense to them. Anything we say, sit could be pineapple, could be cherry, could be chair, they don't know that those are different things. They just hear a sound. So really what they're hearing is a sound when we're giving a verbal cue. If you repeat it, sit goes from sit to sit, sounds different. Sit, sounds different. Sit, sounds different. All they do is get confused. And so they start looking at you like, I don't know what you want. So that's the first problem with repeating a cue. Second is that they start to be like kids or teenagers. They're going to start tuning out, because the repetition, they've already told you, for whatever reason, when you first ask that sit, I'm not in an emotional place to follow through, or it's not valuable to me at that moment, so I'm not going to do it. And you repeating it isn't going to change that. So I'm now just going to tune you out. And typically what happens, why the dogs sit, is that they're hanging out there for a while. You're trying to talk to them. They're going, I don't know. So they look at you, but then eventually they might go, oh, okay, this is going to take a while. Boom, buttons go down. So it's not necessarily I'm asking for a sit and I'm responding to it. It's just like, okay, I'm tired of standing. I'm going to sit here. So, again, why as a trainer, we try to work around that and ask one sit with the yes as the mark is that it makes it really clear to a dog and they'll respond faster. So that most people want the response fairly quickly. So if that's the case, we want to make it as clear, as valuable as possible for the dogs so they respond. They go, yay, fantastic. It's like us. If we're excited about something, chances are we're going to respond a heck of a lot faster. We're going to be excited. Yes, you want me to have an M&M? Great. I will respond really quickly. Offer me peanut M&M. I'm on it. You put it to my nose, my butt's hitting the ground before you can even count to one. So again, we want our dogs to be that excited about it. And repetition usually means, again, they're not understanding or they're going, it's just not for me right now. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I understand. And again, know this, even if you do that, even if you do the repetition, just remind yourself that, oh, that's right, that's not going to work. And how do I make this work better? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I had this plugged in and it's saying, there. I was about to lose power there. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Nope, all good. All right, let's move on. We're going to have some fun here. So, okay. So we've talked about the marker, right? Doing clicker training, yes, training. I know it's really hard. I know clients, the timing is sometimes hard too, because when you're using a mark, you want that mark to hit the behavior right as it's happening. And sometimes that's hard because the cue that we're asking, the response might happen really quickly. One that comes to mind, how many of you have done like a name game or look at me with your dogs to get them to turn and look at you? Anybody? No? Yeah, Michelle? Awesome. Oh, this is Patsy, too. Okay. I'm going to show this one because this is a huge one, I think, in my repertoire. Because like little kids, so many people will ask dogs cues when they're turned away from. Anybody done that where you've asked your dog to sit or do anything and they're not looking at you, even if they're turned towards you, but they're doing this kind of thing? Nope. Nobody's done it. Oh, really? Okay. You guys are better than I am. But the thing with getting a name game or look at me is to get your dogs to turn and really focus on you so that you can ask them to do things like a touch, like a sit, like a down. So real quickly, Quinn's going, isn't this over with yet? So I'm going to show you how to do it. Ready? So easy way to do this. If your dog is looking at you when you're practicing this, oops, hang on a second here. I've cut myself off. This is the fun part with having a small camera. All right. So if your dog is, right now, Quinn is looking at me. Everybody can see Quinn's looking at me. So this is not the time that I would do a name game because I've already got his attention. But if I wanted to work with him on it and he happened to be looking at me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss a treat away. Then I'm going to go, Quinn. Yes. So I said his name once. We were talking, Michelle, about cues, right? I say his name once. The minute he turns and looks at me, I mark him with yes, and I give him a treat. I'm going to show this again. I'm going to toss the treat away. Quinn. Yes. So I had to do that really quickly because I don't know if you could see that. It's kind of hard because he was turned away from everybody and then looking at me. But when he turned his head, he was kind of going like this. He turned his head and his eyes were kind of going different directions. Where I marked him with yes is the minute he made eye contact with me. So that's the key, is catching that behavior. The behavior I really want is not just the head turn. I want the eye contact, because that means we are talking to one another. Does that make sense? So any cue that you're working on, again, you want to capture that, yes, the click, whatever it is that you're marking them with, right as that behavior happens. And it's hard. I understand that one in particular, because a lot of times you get the drive-by. You say their name and you're trying to say yes, and they're already looking a different direction. So that quick, I'm coming around, yes. They go, you do yes, and they keep going, that's okay. We've still marked where we're wanting to go. Eventually, it's going to start hitting where it's just here. But at the beginning, like teaching a dog sit, we go, okay, buns to the ground. The minute the buns hit the ground, even if they pop back up, we still say the yes to start with. We work on the hold later. So far, so good. So marker, 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 marker. As I tell my clients, you know, you're going to have nightmares about yes. Please send your therapy bills to me. It's okay. All right. So back to touch. Rex, you were asking how to utilize the touch, hand touch. It is a great way to get your dog's attention, right? You're out on a walk. Your dog is going, well, any of you have leash reactive dogs? Michelle? Nobody has that's amazing. Oh, there's another.
No, a couple people.
Oh my God. Well, I should say this. Oh, Laura. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing too. Mine can be leash reactive as well. So just know that is super common, but leash, I'm just going to use that as an example. Your dog is walking down the street and it spots another dog. And all of a sudden, you know, we're cruising along, sniffing and everything. Dog, right? When dogs tend to be reactive to something, they tend to do that all of a sudden ears are up, neck is extended, focus is there. Takes about 3 seconds for a dog to react to something. So just keep that in mind. When they get accelerated like that, it's pretty quick where they're going to go from I'm looking at it to maybe barking, maybe lunging, maybe spinning. You know, it could be from excitement, it could be from frustration, but they're going to go pretty quickly. Great time there again, if you've practiced touch, to go, hey, touch, having them turn around, pop their nose on you, all of a sudden they're facing your direction. You can have a conversation with them and no longer staring at the dog. Dog doesn't exist anymore. So one way to utilize touch, fantastic. Moving them from things without having to grab their collar, right? They're heading towards something. In particular, I like touch as recall because it makes it really clear what I want my dog to do. If I'm putting my hand down, and I'm going to show this again, sorry, up and down with this. Here we go. So Quinn is laying right over here. If I go touch, I get him close to me, and guess what I can do too? I can do a collar grab if I need to. Instead of having to reach out, grab his collar to move him away from something, he comes right to me. And how many have had this? You've recalled your dog, and they go, okay, I'm coming towards you, and now I'm going the other direction. Right? Nobody's had that before. Oh, my dogs have done that.
It happens.
Yeah. Well, they're like, well, I came, here I come, and here I go. So again, recall oftentimes will bring them close to you, but they go game, right? The game is I get close to you and then you chase me. And instead, touch says, come right to me, put your nose to my palm. You're right there. I can grab the collar. I can put the leash on. We can do what we need to do. Other thing, it is a great confidence builder. If you have a dog that is unsure about people, it is a great way for a person to introduce themselves to a dog, because this is the reason why. A lot of times, this is what we do with dogs, and Quinn is not a fan of this, but we see a cute dog and we go, oh, and everything, and we grab their faces and everything. He hates that. He thinks it's really rude, and he needs to really feel secure with people and trust people in order to tolerate that. But instead, if you go, okay, my dog understands what touch is. If you are a new person and I ask for a touch, you can see this gives the dog, yes, an opportunity to make the choice to come close to you, first of all. So if my dog says no, I'm not going to force him or to go say hi, because my dog is saying no for whatever reason. I'm not ready to have that relationship with that person that I want that person to touch me. So again, I feel comfortable. I understand what touch is. I'm willing to come up to the palm. And the other thing too, that person is doing the hand down here versus reaching out like we like to do. It makes a dog feel more comfortable. So touch is an awesome, let's say hi. Let's do a human to dog handshake. Because I don't know about you guys, but here's the thing with me. A true dog handshake is nose to buns, right? They sniff each other. Not willing to do that. I draw the line there. So if I can at least do a touch, that affords me the ability to build trust. The dog starts to know, okay, you're respecting my space. I've had a chance to smell you, which is how dogs learn, through nose. And then I'm willing to allow you to possibly go forward, pet me, play with my face, do the things that humans like to do with dogs. And it's just, there's a lot of other things too. Nancy, you have a question. Hit me with the question.
I have 2 dogs, Sunny and Honey. And one is reactive, Sunny, and one is not.
Okay.
Sunny can spot another dog from literally a block and a half away.
Yep, radar.
And the locks zeroes in on whatever it is.
Yep.
How would I do touch without making Honey feel left out, but getting Sunny to do what I want her to do?
So let me ask a couple questions here, and then I promise I will get you through this. When you're walking the 2 dogs out, Sunny's the reactive, Honey is the one that is pretty calm on leash, right? I got the names right. Okay, just want to make sure. When Honey sees Sunny react or get, kind of like his radar kicks in, does she do anything, or does she just kind of hang out? She's just like, oh, okay.
She's very, very calm.
Got it. Okay.
The only time I've seen her do anything reactive at all is, unfortunately, we have somebody in the neighborhood that has 2 Jack Russell Terriers that are crazy. And honestly, Honey is afraid of them. I mean, they don't mean harm. They're just Jack Russell.
They're Jack Russells. Yes. And they were built to go out into the fields and take care of all the small critters. And so every Jack Russell just operates on that level, like just set me out in the field and cut me loose. And I'm sure Honey's going, you're nuts.
And I don't want anything to do with them.
Right. Yeah. Well, exactly. Okay. So the reason I ask is that what you could do then, so Honey doesn't feel out, either you can do, and this is up to you and how much, juggling you kind of want to do, is you could do 2-handed touch for each one of them so that they're both getting, a positive reinforcement from touch. Or asking Sunny for touch, Honey, you just drop a treat on the ground. So there's no FOMO happening. Like, Sunny's getting a treat. so she doesn't necessarily have to do a behavior to get the treat. You could just go, and you get one too, kind of thing. And if it's hard to do it at the same time, work with Sunny first, let's get you focused on this. And by the way, honey, you get a treat afterwards, after Sunny, focuses and gets calmed down and everything. So yeah, just tag team them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions on touch? It's a great cue. It really is. It's so fun. Marcy, you have a question.
Well, first of all, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes. Yay,
Okay.
we got you.
Well, my dog, and I don't know where he picked this up, because when he first came, he was not leash trained.
Right.
So we got him leash trained, and we have our nice walks in the neighborhood, but he'll see another dog and he will sit down. and he sits there and he looks at the dog, he looks at me, and he just sits. And people come and they go, "What a nice dog." And it's like in his mind, if I sit, I don't get in trouble. I mean, that's kind of what I feel like he's doing. But he'll just sit there and the other dog will come up and sniff him. Very rarely is there a reaction.
Got it.
If it is, it's more from the other dog than him.
Got it.
And the people just scratch his head and they go, "Oh, he's such a good dog." And I go, "Yeah, he is." And then he'll just sit there and they'll walk by and then he'll go, "Okay, let's go."
Well, I think, what you have to kind of look at is, one thing that could be telling you why he's sitting and how he feels about this is, when he sits, does he seem kind of curious? Is it like, oh, or is he kind of shrinking a little bit? Ears might be coming down a little bit, scrunching a little bit, where he might be actually shutting down, going, "I don't know about this." So this is what dogs often do, is they'll make themselves kind of small. I mean, it's not like but it's still a kind of like, I'm just gonna sit here and hold myself until the dog sniffs me or the person touches me. And then when they move on, it's like, okay, now I can move again. So it's kind of looking at your dog's body language to see how they're feeling about the interaction. And it could be, again, sure, I'm going to sit here. This is cool. Dude's going to come up, check me out and everything. The other thing to look for too is your dog trying to check out the other dog? Is your dog trying to be curious? Because that shows confidence. Curiosity shows confidence. So if your dog is kind of trying to sniff them, too, that means, okay, I'm trying to check you out too. But again, if they're just kind of holding there going, okay, they've checked me out, person's checked me out, they moved on, okay. In which case, if that's the case, if it is an emotional thing where they're trying to just kind of get through it, I would ask then people not allowing their dogs to do that, because we're going to constantly reinforce in your dog, oh, I need to be fearful of this, even though he or she isn't reacting to it, that they're holding themselves, but still, that's a lot for a dog to handle. If they're just going, I'm just going to handle this until it goes away. But what you can do then is, if the person that's coming up with their dog, if it's somebody that you can communicate with and talk them through the process, say, hey, do you mind hanging out here for a second with your dog? See if your dog will eventually want to approach that dog. Meaning, I'm sitting here, they're there. Does your dog eventually go, oh, let me go check this out and see what's happening? Because again, that's confidence. Do I want to go see what this is? Because a confident dog will want to move in to another dog. They do that, fun thing where, again, they kind of come, and then they go around each other and do the bun sniffing. That's confident. I want to see the other dog. Let's see what's happening. That's is that helpful, Marcy? Is that kind of possible?
that's what he did this morning.
Okay.
And this
Perfect.
was a dog we'd never seen before. I think they might actually be visiting the neighborhood.
Okay.
And he does not, he is super, super friendly.
Cool.
And so the dog started, the dog started pulling over toward us, and she goes, well, can they meet? And I said, yeah, I think so. So I kind of
Okay.
held on to the leash, and and they kind of got together and they sniffed, and then they did the bun, they did this bun sniff and all of that. And then Charlie sat back down and then the other dog, she started walking away while that other dog started pulling, like, no,
Oh yeah.
I want to stay with him. And Charlie he just kind of sat there and he goes, well, okay, we're done.
We shook hands and we're good. And the other dog's like, oh, well, now we're gonna play, right? Or we're gonna do stuff. Yeah. So it sounds like Charlie just, again, if he feels really comfortable, he's sitting there and hopes that the dog's going to come up, say hi and everything. I get to sniff and then all is good and we move on. So fantastic. If he gets stuck, meaning that he's sitting there and you're ready to go and he's going, no, I'm just going to sit here. Great time to use a touch, gets him up off the ground, pops his nose to your hand, then you can keep moving forward. So that's where touch could be utilized if necessary. But if you guys are cruising and having a good time, fantastic.
Yeah, so far we've been lucky with the other dogs in the neighborhood. We don't have any that that seem aggressive. So but he's just super friendly. So.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. We're getting close to the time you need to pop off, Michelle.
We have about 15 minutes. So.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to move forward here, but just know you can still ask me questions, but I'm just going to move the party forward here. So we talked about how to do touch. And is everybody kind of clear on that? Is there anything that anybody needs clarification on? Okay. One thing on this slide that I do want to talk about real quickly is what we call fading the lure, which is, the question I get a lot, and I understand why, is how long do I have to use treats for? Anybody wondering what's a good time frame? How long do I have to treat my dog? Nope. Everybody knows how to fade a lure? Really? Everybody knows that?
No, I am struggling with that. And my dog is like almost 4 years old and only works for treats. So,
well, yeah. Well, and again, keep in mind, this is how I operate too. Any type of high stress situation I take my dogs in, chances are I'm still going to give a treat because, again, the value has to be high in order to get through a situation. But in terms of teaching cues, what you want to do is we call it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you start off giving 5 treats and 5 touches, let's say. So you get 5 treats, 5 successful touches. Then you go to 4 and 1, meaning you're going to do 4 treats, 1 without, or excuse me, 5 treats, 4 with, 1 without. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. Again, you're going to do 5 sessions, 5 touches, 4 with treats, 1 without. And you want to make that one random. So the next would be 5 touches again, 3 treats, 2 without. But don't do it in the same succession. It's Russian roulette. Where is that treat going to come from? Where's the treat not going to happen? So again, they're not sure and they're still motivated. Dogs are fantastic at patterns. If you set a pattern, whether it's intentional or unintentional, dogs learn it very quickly. And that's with the treats. If you do treats in a pattern they start to see, they go, the minute you try to break that pattern, They go, what? So it's start with 5 touches, 5 treats. Next is 5 touches, 4 with treats, 1 without. Next, 5 touches, 3 with treats, 2 without, or 3 with, I'm getting myself messed up here. Sorry, 5 touches, 3 and 2, 5 touches, 2 and 3, 5 touches, 4 and 1, so 4 without, 1 with, and then hopefully 5 touches without. And then do it again. So meaning that if you're starting teaching touch in the house, you're going to do the 5 pattern session. But you go outside, don't go, well, they've got touch down without treats in the house. Now we're going to do it outside without treats. We've got all the distractions now. You want to start again with the 5 touches, 5 treats. We want to reinforce that. So anytime you change, and especially as you add more distractions or you're pressing them higher up towards that threshold, go back to using 5 treats, 5 touches, so that it sets. And then even to this day, I will randomly offer a treat, you know, if I happen to have one. And if I'm in a high, you know, if I take my dogs a lot on trail. So most of the time they're fairly responsive, but you know, we get a pack of mountain bikers come racing by, those treats come out. It's just hard. You know, I got to give them the value because, you know, that's just, even for me, they don't ring their bells anymore on trails. So all of a sudden you just get this pack coming at you. It's like, whoa, where'd they come from? So anyways, does that answer the question, Kristen?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll try that out.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if they're seeing again, he or she's only responding to treats, you might look at, is there a threshold issue? You know, is there something that's making him or her go, I still need that reinforcement for whatever reason. I mean, yes, I'm M&M person, you know, again, going to respond fast. But again, if that's what you're kind of seeing, is that fading is, I'm having a hard time with it. What might be going on? You might kind of look at, again, is there a threshold issue?
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So we've talked about this. I'm not going to, you know, beat a dead horse here. But again, you know, the key parts of this is that thinking about treats are not really about earning. It's more about value. Dogs like trades. So again, that's why we utilize the treats, because as much as we think cues are normal, dogs think they're weird. And it takes a tremendous amount of trust to go, okay, this weird person is asking me to do this weird thing, and I'm willing to do that, but at least I get this out of it. All right. So anyways, I know we're running late and everything. Happy to do this really quickly if anybody wants to try doing a touch real quickly. Otherwise, we have this video, obviously. But did anybody want to try to do touch right now? And it's okay.
I don't have any, I'm on vacation, so I don't even have any dogs with me. So.
You're not going to go running outside going, oh. Cool. All right. But just again, remember, you know, the process. Why we keep going back to the process is if you follow that pattern, again, dogs like patterns, but if you follow the pattern, your dog's going to learn it faster and it's going to stick more. Alrighty. So just a little bit of troubleshooting. Kristen, you know, you were asking about the treats and everything. So if your dog ignores your hand, you know, you've, you know, gone through the process of weaning them off the treats and everything, but they're still having a tough time, you can also put the treat, just rub the scent on your hand. So again, doesn't necessarily have to be the treat, but just at least the scent of something attractive to them so that they still want to bump their nose. If your dog licks your hand, that's fine, unless it's just really gross for you. You know, again, it's the idea of getting their nose, their face close to your hand. So, you know, dogs will lick your hand. Missing the mark, you know, this is the thing where, again, it takes some practice, but keep in mind that idea, the minute the nose hits the hand, that's when the mark happens. So if you mark them as they're pulling their head away, that's going to confuse them then. So it's a really quick yes, yes, yes. That's when it happens, okay? Dog walks away. Again, you know, you're practicing this and your dog goes, done. Call the training. You know, don't keep going and going and going so that your dog starts to get uncomfortable with training. Training 5 minutes a day. That's what I ask my clients to do. 5 minutes a day. That's all you need to do. Really quick. Making coffee in the morning, 5 minutes of training while that coffee takes forever, or at least for me. Like, come on, I need my coffee. So doing a few touches, get the coffee ready. That's all you need to do. But you don't want your dogs to get bored, frustrated. And even if you're trying to do 5 minutes and your dog still calls it, call it. You know, again, make it fun for everybody. And if your dog is nailing it, then great, you know, start adding different things in, you know, doing the right hand. Oh, this is what I should say too. Sorry about touch. Utilize both hands, because if I'm right-handed, I tend to use my right hand a lot, but then my dog only learns touch with my right hand. So, you know, dog gets really good with right hand, left hand. So again, you know, adding things in so that it comes really strong with your dog. You know, we've talked a lot about this, you know, to get that reliable behavior, you know, saying touch first, then offering the hand, dog bumps, yes, and treat. Okay, that's the sequence. Hang on here. So, what do we feel? Okay. Oh, again, threshold. Sorry. So this really is about, you know, dogs making choice. They're going to be willing to do things if they feel comfortable with it. If they don't, chances are they're above threshold. So making sure, again, that you're setting them and yourself up for success as you're doing training. Do not try to take touch out into the middle of Zilker Park tomorrow unless you've done a lot of it in advance. That's a whole other ball game. Since we're running late here, I'm not going, well, I'll show this really quickly to you, but this is just a fun trick to teach your dog. Spin. So basically, treat to the nose. Oh, hang on a second. Let me pull that down up too high. There we go. All right. So, want to do something fun with your dog? Come here, Bubba. Sorry, he's watching our cats go by. All right. So, treat to the nose, spin around as so. So that's a luring cue where you see I took the treat and I took him around. Now, if you're teaching your dog to spin like that, and why spin? It's just fun. It's easy for them to do, but it also builds trust, because what it's forcing the dog to do is turn their back to you, which is for a lot of dogs a really weird, scary thing to do. So teaching them to spin, you lure them around. If they can only get so far, you know, you're luring and they get this far and they're like, oh, I can't go any further. Mark them right there and give them a yes. Then try to bring them a little bit further next time. So sometimes when a cue is scary for a dog or weird, we break it into pieces so that we're marking the different pieces of it so we can get them past that scary point and all the way around. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah.
Yes.
So again, just a fun thing to do, but it builds confidence. It builds trust. It teaches the dog to do things that are weird, but they're going to get rewarded for it with, or not rewarded, but reinforced with the treat. Fun stuff to do. All right. Dink. We've talked a lot about spin, feeding, capturing. We just did that. So you're going to possibly hear these terms somewhere along the line for training. Lure is basically taking a treat to the nose, luring a dog into different cues. Sit, oftentimes we take a treat, we pull it up from their nose, the buns hit the ground. You saw with the spin, I lured the dog, Quinn, into a circle. So that's what luring is, you know, to maneuver a dog into a cue position. Mark, that yes, or the clicker. Reward, the treat, the value. Why am I doing this? Fade, we're releasing the treats, but we're doing it slowly in a random pattern so the dog doesn't know that we're really getting rid of the treats. We're fooling them. Oh no, the paycheck's getting smaller. No. Cue again, you know, any sort of word, hand signal that is a request to our dogs to do a specific behavior. And capture, that the dog, capturing is really when the dog starts to do the behavior consistently. You know, that a sit, boom, a down, boom, touch, boom. We have captured that behavior. The dog understands it. We've built that trust, that reliability. They see the value in doing it. Captured it. All right. We've talked about checking the threshold, addressing how your dog feels. Again, if your dog is not feeling it, don't try to do it unless it's, you know, safety first. And then repetition. It's like going to school. The more you do it on a regular basis, it's more important if you can do it daily for short periods of time than once a week for a long period of time. That means the dog has a full week then to forget everything that they've learned. So little steps, little baby steps daily, if possible. And that is it for this evening. I know I kind of flew through there, but we talked a lot about it along the way. Obviously, you will have access to this recording and to the slides and everything in case you have any questions or want to try it out or anything that comes to mind. So I just want to thank everybody for their time this evening. I do want to open it up for more questions if anybody has questions or concerns or anything, but I just, for those of you that might need to pop off, want to thank you so very much for being on the call this evening, putting up with my Quinn and myself with the maneuvering of the camera and everything. Again, I so appreciate your time and attention this evening.